Welcome back, viewers. You are still tuned into Prime Live. I'm so privileged to welcome back with us Gina Jacobs, who is an author, a mental health awareness advocate, as well as an advocate against gender-based violence. She's absolutely incredible in terms of the work that she does, the platform that she creates, as well as the much needed inspiration and motivation that she brings to women's lives when it comes to rewriting their narratives and owning their stories. We are going to be discussing an upcoming event that she has coming up based on the Matriarch Rising movement that she started. So do delve into this conversation with us as we talk more about her journey, as well as about this incredible event and movement that is coming up and how you can possibly get involved. Gina, thank you so much for joining us again on Prime Live.
Thank you for having me again. I am so happy to be here.
I'm even happier to welcome you back to the show. I truly enjoyed our conversation the last time, so I'm super excited to have the opportunity to talk to you a little bit more about this incredible event. But what I want to talk about, right, you briefly mentioned the Matriarch Rising, and it of course piqued my interest, it piqued our viewers' interest, and it sounds like something absolutely amazing. Can you talk to us more about the Matriarch Rising movement, the event, and how it's able to transform women's lives, allow them to speak their truth, but not just speak their truth, but rewrite the narratives? And also, more importantly, what can attendees expect from this incredible event?
Okay, the genesis of the Matriarch Rising is the book that I wrote, Lessons and Blessings. And in the writing of that book, the more I wrote, the more I realized, you know what? Healing is about connection. Because the reason why I am doing this is because I want to connect to other like-minded souls who are on the journey or who need to start the journey for themselves. And so I wanted to discuss and to have a platform to talk about with other women, to share their journeys and what they've learned, and because healing is a progressive, never-ending project, if you will. You always learning something and picking up something from somebody that you can use today. So the Matriarch really is an event about healing, it's about empowerment, and it's about connection. And that's why we have this platform, because there are real issues that we need to, as women, reflect on. And as a result, I've now roped in another author that we're going to be launching our two books together. I have Lessons and Blessings, and she has Are You Divorcing a Narcissist? And we touched on a little bit on that last week when we talked about individuals with personality disorders, which is just another level of brokenness and woundedness that comes with the person that has been subjected to them. So that is what is going to be happening. We have case studies that we will be doing, studying case studies, and the case studies are very important for me because it is within the lens of thinking through other people's stories sometimes that we identify ourselves. And I would like to say this as an example to that. I listened to a gentleman who is a self-aware narcissist in treatment and so on. And he said a healthy person would never accept being with him. 3 weeks max, they would date him. The moment they see through him, they're out of there. And yet a person that is wounded would latch onto him. And somebody asked, how quickly would a wounded empath latch onto you? And he said almost right away, I cried for a week after hearing that, because that's exactly what I did. For me, that was normal because my history had groomed me for that situation. My subconscious mind was making those decisions for me because this is what I recognized from my upbringing. And I had a high tolerance for that type of pain. And so it is through somebody else telling their story that I recognize that even now I have to always be mindful, question myself, is what I'm looking at normal or is it normal to me? And, is it healthy or does it look normal to me? Because I have been so overexposed to it it became empirical fact in my mind.
Thank you for sharing
So,
that. Thank you for sharing that and being
yes,
so vulnerable with us. And like you said, I love that your platform creates a space for storytelling, because only like you said, only through those storytelling processes are you able to resonate with experiences from other people, recognize your own ill behavior and your own treatment of yourself that you are completely ignoring or letting go. And like you said, in learning from other people's stories, you become essentially more self-aware of the mistakes you're
yes.
making, of the patterns you're repeating, and of your own trauma that you're kind of lingering onto as well.
Absolutely. And you know, the other benefit of stories is that when it's somebody else's story and we are able to critique it, because it's removed from us, we are more able to receive it.
Absolutely. When is the event taking place? Can we still get tickets, or are we way too late?
Absolutely.
And if
No,
we
no, no,
are
no,
too
no.
late, please do share any future events that might be taking place as well.
What we had to do, because of the inquiries from people and our venue being small, being initially planning to have it as an offline venue, we had to take it to Zoom online to give as many women, a platform to be present in. So it will be on Zoom, and it is still available on Quicket. You are able to still register through Quicket. Just search the Matriarch Rising, or you could always DM me through the conversationalist on TikTok, or you can go to my website, the conversationalist online, and there you can email me.
Absolutely. I mean, that is wonderful news. And I mean, to see the growth and the excitement surrounding event in the very short space of time that we've had these two conversations,
Yes.
it's incredibly inspiring to see that there are women who want to make an effective change, be part of platforms like this, because that shows that you are willing and dedicated to self-improvement and to working on yourself and being part of such a powerful community of women. But what I also want to talk about is something that you're incredibly passionate about, is reclaiming one's narrative and rewriting life stories. Now, this can be particularly powerful for anyone who has overcome severe adversity, who has experienced any kind of trauma in their lives. Can you share what inspired you to push these narratives forward, to push these kind of things forward from your own personal experience, and in the way that it has helped you heal from difficulty and adversity?
For me, it was how in my healing process I realized that most of my life I had not lived as me. I lived as a role of something, an expectation of somebody else. I behaved the way I was expected to be the good girl or the good woman, or how a woman of dignity and and honor should behave. And that's not to say that on my own I am someone that is out there rowdy, but it meant that I had to minimize myself in a lot of ways. And so I had to, in the journey also of rewriting my narrative, in order for me to know that my narrative was not correct, was to open those doors that we closed so hard and entertain and study, where did these narratives come from? Who is this personality? Who said for me to exist as a purposeful, worthwhile human being, I had to be small all my life? I had to be waiting for somebody else's instruction all my life. I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do because it was frowned upon. I couldn't, be a writer. I couldn't be a speaker. I couldn't speak my thoughts too loud because it wouldn't be proper of a woman of my age and maybe possibly stature, wherever you are as a woman. And the trauma that we are forced, and I don't know about other cultures, but definitely in the African culture, the perpetrator is always protected in the families, almost always. And it is forgotten that for the victim, that was a trauma because you are expected to smile through it. And that is societal's expectations of women in the most part, is that you are expected to hold family together at the risk of your health and the risk of your mental wellness. and you don't have a purpose outside of being of service. And it is all of these stories that we've been told I needed to unpack for myself. And if I was going to be of service, what would be my intention behind the service? What would I be trying to achieve? On whose terms would I be trying to achieve it? It is not that now I become a selfish person. It is that I first prioritize that I be healthy so that I can be of service to you. And me being healthy means that I call you out when you are not acting in a way that serves me. And I decide how I want to be seen and defined by society. I mean, the fact that I'm having this conversation with you is something that at one time I would never have dared, because it means airing my dirty laundry to the world. But I decide now that I did not choose for anyone who did anything to me to come to my life. I did not invite you to do that to me. I invited you to come with good intentions, the same that you presented me with. But the fact that you decided to change, that's on you. And so now you've made yourself a character in my story. I decide how I'm going to go forward from that point on. And this is, I would say, what rewriting my narrative is. I decide how I'm going to show up in the world and what value I'm going to add to it.
I'm so moved by what you've just shared, and I think there are so many women who are watching us right now who can relate to more than one of the things that you've mentioned. And you've mentioned all these heavy societal pressures that women naturally, as you're born a woman, you're born a young girl. These are the societal expectations that are placed upon you. And when it comes to, the cultural aspect, when it comes to being in an abusive relationship or being with an abusive partner, whether that be mentally, physically, verbally, I think it is a common thread even in our community as well, where the woman is always the one to blame. What did you do to make him do that to you? And that is the kind of, that is the kind of language we use when we talk to women. We disvalue them and we disvalue their words, and we always blame them for a difficulty in any situation. So I think you spoke so much truth to power in what you said, and I'm always inspired by women who are brave enough to share their story, because I know that from you sharing your story, there will be a ripple effect of so many other women who are going to benefit from hearing your story and seeing the power radiating out of you after overcoming such adversity. But what I want to talk about is that you speak about the power of the matriarch, a woman's strength, the natural God-given strength that women all naturally possess within them, and the ability that we all have to overcome and reach our full potential. And more
Yes.
importantly, you talk about the role of femininity. And we often associate femininity with weakness. But something that you
Ah,
talk about is that femininity is power, and embracing your femininity is what true power is. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that?
oh my goodness, do I need to say anything? You've said anything that I wanted to, everything that I wanted to say. Listen, the thing about being a soft woman, which is what I think being feminine is,
Yeah.
the intrinsic qualities are that you be nurturing, you be intuitive, and you be creative. That is at the center of the matriarch. That is what a matriarch is, because it simply means that, I'm sorry, I have to try to adjust this. It means that you have come into your full power, and you have come to embrace who you are naturally and the natural gifts that you are endowed with. You don't need to compete for space with a different energy. You know exactly who you are. And I think that is what is missed by society when they think that being a matriarch is you fighting the patriarchy. There is nothing masculine about the matriarch, because she is sitting squarely on her feminine throne, and she is able to say, this position of being naturally creative, because I am the one vessel in this world that partakes and initiate the most important, you know, product of creation, which is another human. I have natural access to creativity. I am sitting firmly and deeply in there because this is who I am. For too long, I've been waiting for other people to create for me, but now I'm creating. I'm taking that power back. And we are nurturers. If you are nurturing and you are nurturing something for good, it means that you want to make sure that it is nourished. You want to make sure that it is, whatever is happening is just, whatever is happening is right, whatever is happening is fair. That is what we are there for. And if that is not the definitions of being a feminine woman, who has a feminist qualities in her, just, fair, and correct and right for everybody. She is about equity. She is about nurturing communities and nurturing societies to next levels. That's who I think we must go back to being, to taking back, because this is who we are as women. And these qualities are our superpowers because nobody else has them.
Absolutely.
And we give them away too quickly and too frivolously because we are raised to think that we are lesser beings. And when you mentioned to me how a woman will be asked, what did you do to him? It is so ironic to me that that's the time you are told that you had any contribution and authority to do something to make somebody do something else. Yeah. Whereas the whole time you are told that you are the submissive one, you are the one that takes in everything. And yet on this one part, it is you that forces and makes somebody to do something. That's ironic to me. And that's just points to the dismissive nature of the society that we live in.
Absolutely. Gina, you've spoken so much truth to power, and I genuinely love speaking to you, and I'm so inspired by what you've shared with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sharing your journey with us, for being vulnerable with us, and thank you for creating such a dynamic platform for women, and we look forward to having much more conversations with you in the future. Thank you for joining us.
I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Viewers at home, that was Gina Jacobs. Please do make sure you reach out to her on our social media platforms or go to Quicket to join the Matriarch Rising event. It is now open to Zoom, so you can absolutely still join in on the event. If anything Gina said resonated with you, I genuinely believe you will truly enjoy the empowerment, the community, and the platform that the Matriarch Rising event will offer. It's such an amazing platform, and we do hope that you do go and join in. But remember, the Matriarch Rising is a movement, so you can absolutely be part of it. And if you would like to get a copy of Gina's book, you can also reach out to her on her social media platforms to do so. I think these are very important conversations that we are having about opening up the platform and creating a community of women who are empowered and who are rewriting the narratives and are delving into their divine feminine energy.